Wendy is a practitioner in idetics, and I'm so excited to bring this conversation to you listeners today because I'm going to be going through an unscripted live eidetic session with Wendy where I'll be the student, so to speak.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. It's not every podcast host is willing to do that, as you can imagine. And the reason I'm excited for it is, well, first, your willingness, and second, that while I'm walking you through an experience, I'll be walking all your listeners through their own unique experience. And that can be really eye-opening no matter how much personal work you've already done. And just to set the stage for that, so what idetics is it's a deep, personal, inner transformational process and tool that in my 40 plus years of working with people, I've never encountered anything like it in terms of the way it works with your mind and your body and really your spirit too. So I hope to be able to show you and your each listener really a different take on what might be stopping you from being able to move forward in the world, and then other pieces of you that you might not even know are still there, but are something you might be longing for, or maybe even have lost hope you could ever find again.
I love hearing the way you talk about this. I just instinctively put my hand over my heart because I really truly am drawn and am so curious about these mind, body, and soul and how this all comes together. And I'm very grateful that you're spending time with us today and bringing your presence and energy and your expertise to this conversation. So I'm nice and relaxed right now. I'm like ready to,
Okay.
yeah.
I think maybe what would help is just a word about how most people, just a little bit of like a preamble. I think most people these days anyway feel like you have to make yourself, if you have something going on that doesn't feel good, most people think they either have to force themselves to think differently than they think, or force themselves to feel differently than they think, or even fake it till you make it, which I don't ascribe to, because I think there is actually more to it than that. So we we have these ideas, I think now these days, these ideas of how we're supposed to change by thinking differently or feeling differently. I think they're there because people don't have forgotten how the deeper mind really works to be able to help us to shift from the things that we're doing that are really against our own self to a more graceful, more free, more authentic way of being. I think people have literally forgotten. And so that's one of the things that I
Mm.
love about this deep work, is that it, just like if you have a cut on your finger, as long as you keep it clean and you're relatively healthy, that cut's going to heal all by itself.
Mm.
It doesn't need to be told to seal from the inside out. It doesn't
Mm.
need anything from us consciously. Our bodies already know how to do that kind of healing. Well, what I've discovered in my studies with idetics is that the spirit and the inner self actually has that same ability if we get out of our own
Mm.
way.
Mm.
And that's one of the most ironic parts, is that as much as we want to change, as much as we want something, we as human beings consistently go the opposite direction. That's part of being human, but there are
Yeah,
ways to work with it. Go ahead.
I feel you so much. We got our unconscious selves and we got our conscious selves and all the layers in between. And it's so difficult to get them on the same page sometimes.
Yes, yes, it really can be. We fight it with a lot of craftiness, and we're really genius actually at fighting against what we won't most want. It's quite incredible, but that doesn't need to be where it stops. So I actually think, Jared, sure, let's jump right in. Now I'm understanding enough. So for the listener, again, I'll just make this last comment. So you've got something in your own mind, or you can just go through this experience with Jared and do your own later. Again, I'll show you how to do that. But so Jared, now a couple understandings about eidetics and how it works so that you can go have this be as effective as possible. So we're going to be talking about something that looks like memory and history, but what we're actually looking at is inside you now. So I'll bring that up later, but it's going to seem like we're talking about history, but we're not. That's number one. Number two, an eidetic image is something we all have thousands of them in us that get formed either during a single traumatic time or multiple difficult times or wonderful heart-filled times. They what makes them distinct is that they have a visual component, vivid or vague, and they have a somatic component where you feel it in your body and in your emotions, and then they have multiple layers of meaning.
Mm,
We're not going to go into meaning. We're going to be staying with the image and the feelings, the image and the feelings. And the ancient Greeks understood this part of the mind, and they called eidetics has to do with being a gift from the gods. They thought they were that powerful. They didn't use them as therapy, but they understood them inside of us. And so whatever image comes today, we're going to treat it like a gift and really
mm,
let it have a mind of its own. We're
mm,
not going to change the bow or the wrapping paper. We're not going to take it back and get something different. We're going to treat it as the gift that it is. Okay?
I
Does it?
I love that.
Okay.
I do. I love hearing this. Like, yeah.
Okay. All right. Good. So here we go. You can, and for those of you who are doing this, you can do it as long as you're not driving, which I encourage you not to do this while you're driving. You can do this with your eyes open or closed. So, Jared, for you, I'd suggest let's just close your eyes, and I'm going to give you an instruction, and you want to just hear the instruction and see what comes up. So, see your parents in the house that you think of as a home, the house you grew up in. Where are they and what are they doing in this image? So you want to wait. It may come quickly. It may take a little while. You want to see where they are, not where you think they should be or would be or usually were. Where are they right now when you see the house and what are they doing? And you can take your time and tell us when you're ready.
The image that came right away and still here is,
Good. Good.
yeah, kind of the entrance. We have this like a living room is the door opens into the living room. I'm imagining sort of that I'm coming home for a holiday vacation or something. I don't go home that often, but I'm going home and I'm kind of standing in the doorway and like there's a positive energy. I think like so mom is sort of in the kitchen or at the front door greeting me.
Now, wait. Okay, slow down.
Yeah.
So you're doing great. And what I want you to do is just say what you're actually seeing. So she's either in the
Mm,
kitchen or
mm,
at the
mm,
front door,
mm,
and you're not remembering coming home. You're actually looking at it.
mm,
So I want to make sure that you're seeing this from a time when you're still growing up. So
mm,
college is a little bit late for that.
mm,
So we're still growing up for sure, but so
mm,
let's go back and just hear it again.
mhm,
So let that one go and see your parents in the house that you think of as a home, the
mm,
house you grew up in, from a
mm,
time when you're still growing up.
uh,
And you want to wait. Don't imagine anything, just wait
mm,
and tell us when you see it, first, where are they? And I'm going to make an
yeah,
aside
yeah,
while Jared is doing that. So what Jared just did is very common if you haven't been doing idetics for a while, and that's to kind of put what you might see. But the gift of idetics is that Jared's mind is already working on the problem that he presented about letting him care and being able to show up and support. So his mind is going to present him with a really specific image that's unique to him right now, and it's going to help us with what he's focused on. So that's why you really want to see what you actually see. So Jared, when you're ready.
yeah. I'm I'm at the table, and
Okay.
dad, we'd have dinner, and dad would always sit to the left, and mom would always sit to the right. It's a circular table,
Yes.
and and then usually my brother was in front of me.
Okay, so I'm going to stop you. Just show us what you're actually seeing at the table right now. Where is your dad right now, and what's he doing?
He's kind of like elbows on the table, like a
Yeah,
little like little hunched over, kind of eating. Um,
good,
yeah, he's kind of like
good.
that.
Okay, now when your young self, look through your young self's eyes, literally, and as you see your dad kind of hunched over, elbows on the table, eating, what does the young you feel?
Um, kind of kind of bad, I guess.
Could you tell
Uh,
us bad in what way? Just keep feeling it through the young eyes. And what does the young self feel
yeah,
as you continue looking at Father?
maybe sort of ignored.
Ignored. Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly. And how old is the young you?
let me like 7,
7.
something,
Okay, great.
something like
Great. Now look from your 7-year-old eyes now at your mother. Where is she right now in this image? And what is she doing? And how do you feel?
that. She is like kind of a little more upright, maybe something like this.
Mhm. Yes.
And I guess she's not eating. I feel like the food is in front of her.
Okay.
Um, but she's kind of uh like stony, like just
Yes. Yes. I
like
was going to say stiff.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
hmm,
Stony. Okay. And when the
yeah.
young you looks at her upright and stony with the food in front of her, as you look through your young eyes, how do you feel?
Let's see.
When you
Um,
see her?
yeah, yeah. Stuff. How do I feel? How do I see?
What I
Yeah,
would do to help you here, because there was a big sigh there, so there's a lot going on. So what you want to do is, and that's what this work
yeah.
does. It goes to the
Mm, mm,
jugular. So
mm-hmm,
you're doing great, actually.
mm-hmm.
So as you look, just look through the 7-year-old eyes and actually do see the upright stoniness. Let yourself see it and notice how it's affecting the young you.
My first, my first, the reason I let out a sigh was my first answer is that I don't feel anything, but then um, but I do think there's like shades of sadness there too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there some kind of, there doesn't have to be, but is there some content or words or something in the sadness? Again, there doesn't have to be.
It's very small, like um some maybe something like water, like a little bit of water, tiny, like a little bit of water for the garden, like not enough or something.
Uh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Now let's come out of the image for a moment. Just for a moment. So when you look at your father, you feel bad and ignored. So does that feeling, the way you're feeling ignored, does that feel familiar in relationship to your email list and your podcast subscribers?
Yes.
Yes, of course it does. Thank you for laughing. And okay, so I know why you're laughing, but
It's identical or whatever, sort of. Yeah. I mean,
yes, yes, yes. So the reason I ask, obvious that it is that we think of these situations as our past and what we lived through. And of course they affected us. But what I'm showing you here, and this is why idetics is so powerful. This first part is that you get to see what's going on inside you right now. You, by the image that came, is showing you what's going on inside you in relationship to people. Okay. So of course it would be coming up. Good for you for letting yourself go there.
mm,
Now with mother, I feel like it's a little different,
yeah,
right?
I feel so too.
Okay. So it feels more like what's happening with father is what's happening with your list and your people, right? Okay. So if we were doing deep work together, we would go into both. But for the purposes of the podcast and what you're asking for today, we're going to stay with father. Okay, because it seems like it's way more pinpointed to what you're asking for help with.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so you're already got your eyes closed and you're still there. So that's good. Exactly. So keep looking now. We're going to stay looking at father through your 7-year-old eyes. And tell me now that we've talked a little. So now as you're looking, tell me what at this moment, what the young self is seeing when you look at father and what you're feeling.
Let's see. So he is still, eating, kind of hunched over. Um, Maybe like a little turn towards me, sort of like
Oh, did that switch?
maybe. Yeah, I
Yeah.
can kind of imagine him just turn
don't
towards
don't
me a little bit.
don't put
Or
anything into it. Don't try to fix it. Don't add
mm,
anything. Again, it's that gift, right?
mm.
So tell me what you actually see. It sounded like you actually saw him turn just a little bit towards you, and then you start to elaborate it on it a little bit, but I want to go back, I think. So tell me what you actually see when you look at him.
Like um like the hands coming down.
Okay.
Yeah,
And okay,
talking.
talking
Something
to
something with the hands coming down. That's
what?
yeah.
And so the hand.
Feels more open.
Yes.
Something like more open.
Yes. Okay, you are doing great. So keep watching and tell us with his hands down and more open. We're going to take it really slowly. What does the young you feel? First, you want to see it, really see your dad with his hands down and a little bit more open. and notice how that affects you, what you're seeing right now.
Anxiety and hopefulness.
Yes, anxiety and hopefulness. So now we're going to keep watching. You're not going to try to fix it. You're just going to keep seeing and feeling and telling us what's happening nice and slowly. It
Okay.
doesn't have to be a movie
Yeah.
with all kinds of action. It may just stay still for, or kind of on it, sort of still for a while. Whatever it does is fine.
Um,
Feel the
yeah.
anxiety, feel the hopefulness, keep watching.
Yeah, he's just smiling, raising his left arm, like making a joke or some sort of lifting of energy,
And again, you
some
want
sort
to
of like joy, sort of.
joy, some sort of like joy. So keep looking and notice what you feel now.
I do still anxious, but kind of joyful too.
Huh. Okay. All right. I'm going to try something different with you. Now, if you were a bazillion% positive that it would be okay, and everything is okay because this is your imaginal realm, it's not your history. So if you were a bazillion% positive it would be safe and okay, I want you to feel what the young you wants to do or say. First, feel it, and then see that you do it and watch what happens.
What's coming up for me is like kind of asking, like, hey, this is fun. Like, why don't we do this all the time?
Okay, so see that you do that, but also use your body as well as your words. Watch.
Like, I'm the 7-year-old kid kind of at the table, or
Well, not
not.
kind of. Okay, so I want you.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, I want you
Okay.
to see that the 7-year-old kid that your 7-year-old self expresses what you want to.
Mm,
Hey, this
mm,
is fun. Can we do it more
mm-hmm,
all the time? See that
mm-hmm.
you express it to your father. See, well, actually,
Yeah, yeah.
see that you feel it first, Jared, and then allow yourself to express it in the image and see how you do that and what happens.
I would like be like, hey, why don't we do this more often?
So watch that.
Yeah,
And what happens when you say it? How does that feel? What do you see?
I I see my hands going on the table, kind of looking up at, or like, but kind of forceful too. Why don't we do this more often? Part of me does want to cry when I say that.
Okay,
There's some
wait.
young part of me too, like that.
Of
Yeah,
course.
yeah. Like what? Like, why don't
Okay,
we do this
just
more often?
okay, just
Yeah,
let
yeah,
yourself experience it
yeah, yeah, yeah. Mhm.
and keep watching and see what happens. So
Let's
while
see. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
don't
Oh, yeah,
push
yeah.
yourself. You want
Okay,
some
okay.
time? I'm going to talk to the audience if you do. Okay. So Jared's really in his image and he's doing a great job of fighting, controlling the image and letting himself stay with it. And the feelings are coming up, which is Of course they are, because he's really experiencing his young self's hope and anxiety and deepest desires for connection with his father. And it feels like before, from what I'm seeing in the image, it wasn't really okay to say this, but Jared is the young Jared is has the okay, and so gets to express it. And now so something is shifting in the body. Jared starts to feel like the wanting to cry, because this is such a deep desire. And so now, Jared, tell us what you're seeing.
Yeah, sort of dad being like baffled, but
Yes.
but then like kind of baffled, defensive, but then kind of being like, yeah, we can do this more often, sort of thing.
What's his face and his body look like when he says, when he goes from baffled to defensive to, yeah, we can? Watch the change. Watch what happens.
His face goes like, or his shoulders kind of like I guess like huh, like what, like huh, or something like that. Let me see.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm trying to see. Kind of.
You want to keep just a reminder. You want to keep
Yeah.
seeing it through your young eyes and feel how it affects you to see this, huh?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's um huh? Yeah. Huh? Huh? What? Like something
He's like
was
so surprised, but he's taken aback by it
yeah,
too.
yeah, yeah. Uh-huh.
That's what I'm seeing
Uh-huh.
because I'm watching your
I
image
think
too.
yeah, I feel like that's like, and then kind of like this short little flare up, like what? Like what? Something like that. Like
Yeah. That's the
um
defensive that we
yeah,
talked
yeah,
about
yeah,
before.
yeah.
And now keep watching, slow it way down. Now watch what happens after with
Yeah,
the
yeah,
flare up,
yeah.
and then yeah.
Yeah, and then he's looking at me, and
Yeah.
then he says I we should
Don't go ahead of the image.
okay.
Just make sure you're really looking at what the image is doing. And because sometimes it can be very hard to hear the words and you want
Mhm.
to get the gist of it.
Mm.
Sometimes when people start with words, they start making it up ahead of the image. I don't want you to do that. Okay.
He
But
he
if
is he is turning towards me
yes,
and looking at me, and I do feel that the tone is like empathetic, or
yes, yes. Now
like
wait. Okay, now listen to the tone. See his face, see his body, and listen to the tone and notice what happens to you.
mhm, mm, yeah, relax basically.
Yes,
Mm,
exactly. Now look through his eyes at you, through his eyes at you. What does he see when he sees you relaxing here? And what does he feel through his eyes?
see here.
Take your time.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give Jared some time because he's really working hard to stay with what the image is doing rather than what his head does. And he's doing a great job with it. So, what we're doing here is not what could have or should have been done in history, but there's a chance here. Young Jared felt what was still inside and expressed it. And father is having an opportunity. You can see that Jared's father, I'm watching the image and I hope you are too. You can see Jared's father is willing to take in the moment. And Jared's nodding here because that's what he's seeing. He's willing, and He's taken aback. He's baffled. He's a bit defensive, but he's also empathic. And so Jared is getting, adult Jared here is getting a chance to experience that feeling from deep, deep inside, that experience of being seen and empathized with. And his father going through all the stuff that people go through when they're kind of caught in their own stuff. And then, but his father has the willingness, you can see the willingness to see Jared. And Jared's nodding like a lot over here. So Jared, what are you seeing?
I guess just uh two things.
Mm-hmm.
One, yeah, so what I'm feeling and seeing, so he's still like, I'm still like kind of in my dad's perspective now. He's
Yeah.
looking at me. Um, yeah, two things. So one is like, they're kind of contradictory,
Mm-hmm.
but anyways, so
That's okay.
yeah, okay, cool. One is like, he, all this this, what's it called, work pressure sort of, and he's like, okay, I was able to be there for Jared. Like, okay, I was there. Jared calmed down. Like, I'm able to hold everything together, so to speak.
Yes.
That's kind of one.
Yes.
He's like, maybe not. Yeah. So that's one. The other one is like more joyful. He's like, all right, let's go up and play or something like that. Like, yeah, yeah. We used to like wrestle and stuff. So, like I don't know, like he's like, all right, like let's go, finish up dinner and we'll wrestle upstairs or something like that. And he's like pretty excited and like
Ooh.
like smiling for that. He's like, all right, like let's play. Like, so yeah.
Okay, great. Now when you see, we'll go back to both, but when you see the second one, how do you feel?
Yeah, I'm smiling a lot and everything. Looking forward to
Yes.
that. All right, can't wait for dinner to. Well, actually, I don't know if I'm seeing that, but like that's my gut feeling. Like,
Yes, that's what you
yeah,
feel
yeah,
right now, right?
yeah. That's what I feel
Right?
right now. Yeah.
Okay. All right, good. All right. So now we'll do one last piece and then I'll talk to you about the both parts of those. So now the question about all of this is, so what? Right? So Jared's having a great experience, a really nice smiling a lot experience. And I wish you could see him. I am. And so, but the thing is, what does this have to do with connecting with your people and being able to be engaged? So Jared, just put this second part of this again. This is very deep work. We're just doing a little tiny bit here. Put the second father, the experience of the second part of the experience where he's joyful and he's excited and he wants to go out and play with you. Put that in the back of your mind. Okay. So it's an image and a feelings in the back of your mind, and see that you're creating a podcast or
Mm,
writing an email, but keep that image in the back of your mind like a filter.
mm.
Watch yourself doing the podcast or writing the email with that image in the back of your mind. And tell me what you see as you either do the podcast or write the email. How is it going for you?
Yeah, it's a podcast. I feel would be more or less the same.
Don't assume.
Oh,
Don't
what I,
assume.
yeah, yeah,
But
what I see.
just pick
But
one.
what I did see was the emails being like punchier and like shorter. Like, yeah, punchier and shorter.
And how do you look as you're writing them? Take a look at yourself writing them with that image in the back of your mind.
Yeah, I was like grinning, sort of like, ha, they're gonna get a kick out of this, or
Yeah.
yeah.
Now, do you feel engaged as you're writing them with your
These new ones, yeah,
yeah, in this
yeah,
image,
yeah,
in
yeah.
this image, yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I do,
Do you
yeah.
seem different? in the
Yeah.
image. Yeah?
Yeah. Yeah. Uh-huh.
How? How so?
More upright and present, I'd say. More like
Great.
just yeah.
Okay, so number one rule of engagement, so to speak, is presence, right?
Mhm.
Yours and theirs.
Mhm.
All right.
Yeah.
So let's talk for a few minutes about what happened. First, do you want to make some comments or do you have some questions about what just happened?
That was I've I've done a good amount of therapy and other journeys. That was very interesting. I could see it, very interesting. I think the parental work is some of my own work that I've been working on with an attachment therapist for a long time. And this parental stuff is so, so, so important. I've never done it visually. And I think that's very powerful.
Mm,
And the way
mm.
you stayed with the image, like what you were saying earlier, but like you really, I could see myself getting ahead of the image, but the image, how you stayed with it. That these are things that are just coming to mind, as well as this taking away this like walking away from this, just like kind of that memory of me and my dad going to play upstairs. I'm like kind of in the back of my mind, I like that. I feel like I can access that more, and I kind of understand like how to move forward. Uh, you know.
Absolutely, you can access it. I would encourage you if you want to use to build on what we did today, that don't remember going upstairs to wrestle or whatever.
Hmm.
Go back and look at the image
Mm.
and let yourself see and feel. Because the problem is
Mm.
people often get a really good feeling, like from anything. I'm not just talking about idetics. And it's such a good feeling and they want to hold on to it, right? And you absolutely can't hold on to a feeling. It's
Mm.
ephemeral. It just is going to slip right through your hands. The whole Buddhism is built on that understanding of our mind, right? So what you want to do is see the image which is bringing you all these riches from your deeper consciousness and let yourself feel it. Yes, that that would be a very, very helpful thing to do. That would be using a filter, because the work that you did today exactly works. I didn't know you were working with parental attachment, but the your presenting situation has to do with lack of engagement. Well, right, I mean, with your email list. So and what I found as a business owner and entrepreneur, that my all my stuff, all of it has come up to be worked with in my business because of having to move forward in my business, right? I see you like totally
Interesting.
understanding and recognizing that.
That was so funny how I laughed, like when like the feel you like, how does it feel with your email list? And I laughed. I was like, it's the exact same.
Yes, yes,
Yeah, I
yeah,
feel it.
yes, of course. It's so human.
Mm.
And we think, oh, well, that's my history and I've forgiven my parents. Well, in my opinion, it has nothing to do with forgiveness.
Mm.
And it is really not a
Mm.
whole lot to do with from my perspective now, it doesn't have a whole lot to do with understanding. It has to do with that, for use you for an example here, is that desire to be connected, but the holding back out of anxiety, right? Those are
Yeah,
the words you're using.
yeah.
But the natural inclination was to come forward in your image,
Mm.
to come
Mm-hmm.
forward and engage
Mm.
with your dad.
Mm.
Now, there's other stuff going on, and that's the start. We won't go into this part because we don't have time, but the whole, okay, Jared's calmed down. Now I can move on. I'm really busy. That's a
Yeah,
whole other session,
yeah.
right? But we wanted to give you something that you could use. It's already inside you, Jared.
Mm. Mm.
That movement
Yeah.
forward, that joyful grin. I didn't plant that in you, right? That
Yeah,
was
no.
already there.
Yeah,
We just
yeah.
pulled the crust off of it.
I love it. Yeah, yeah. So good. So good. so good. You
I'm
know,
so glad you feel that
yeah,
way.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
great to hear it.
you get, yeah, absolutely, like, that who you are and that whole authentic, you know, being.
Yes. Yes,
It's
exactly.
yeah.
It's there to come out. And that's that
Yeah.
when I work with my private clients, I mean, many of my clients are in their 40s, 50s, and 60s. And so they spent a lot of years, right, living with less and less connection or even belief that they can have that connection. But once you begin to feel, and it's always there. I have never seen an eidetic image that didn't resolve itself into the person's connecting with their potentials in a bigger and bigger way. It's just not possible not to, because our deepest consciousness is
Mm,
like that healing cut.
mm,
That is
mm,
really who we
mm,
are. It's just that
mm.
there's so many interferences. So can I tell your people a little bit about
Yes, yes,
what their
yeah.
own?
Yeah, and where
All
they
right.
can contact you and everything too, yeah.
So just real quickly, if you did your own image, you may have seen all negative with
Mhm.
both parents, or you may have seen positive with one or both, or a mixture. So the the work is, well, part of the problem is we often identify ourselves with the more negative parent. We all often act like they did. So I'm not saying this about Jared. I'm going to just give an example. So for example, if Jared found in himself that he was doing a lot of, okay, well, I took care of that person, they're calmed down, now I'm just going to go to work. That would be identifying with part of father. And we tend to do that in very negative ways. Usually we pick the worst parts and then we practice being like that part, and we don't like it, but it's what we do, and it comes up in the most important parts of our life. So you may have seen some things like that. You may have seen some things that are very familiar, and or you may have felt just wonderful with one of the parents, like Jared did with the joyfulness when he was able to speak up. But whatever you saw, that's part of your consciousness that is there for you, that to either help resolve or to give you what you've been missing, because it feels too buried. If you'd like your own experience of idetics without Jared and I working together, and you just want that time and space to have it, you can go to www.measiwanttobe.com. Measiwanttobe.com. And on that page, there's a video of me walking you through something similar, but there's some differences on that video. You have plenty of time to see and feel, and I'll help to a certain extent. I'll help you be able to understand what you're seeing, and this podcast should help you with that too. And then if you're someone who wants to go further, there's a way to do that, to be able to talk to me, but at least you can have your own private experience.
Mm. I'm so glad you showed up and um, spent some time with me today. And I encourage everyone listening, if this really resonates with you, to check out Me As I Want to Be. That's amazing. That's a great website name too, by the way.
Thank you.
I might have to check it out too. Uh, well, thank you so much for your time, and just really, really, uh, yeah, just so touched and grateful. Yeah,
Thanks, Jared.
yeah,
I
like
feel it,
truly.
and I really feel it. Thank you for being so willing.